Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the shop. Today we have a special treat, replacing blades on my lawnmower. Now the most important thing to remember whenever you're going to be doing any work in the shop, especially around any kind of sharp tools, is that you need to have a good, clean combination of uppers and downers. Now there's a couple reasons that we stopped short just now. Part of it was because we need to talk about how addiction is a real problem and how some people just are completely addicted to coffee, and I don't want to minimize that issue. Also, we have to clean up the workbench because a clean workbench is a safe workbench. The third is I had catastrophic diarrhea. The first thing we have to do before we get our grubby paws all over the blades is get that mower deck out. That's going to be awful. All right, now we've got the deck up on a trash can. Well, my art bin, 55-gallon drum. And you can kind of see, first off, I got to tell you what the real issue is. While mowing, and this tractor has been kind of passed down. My dad bought it 10 years ago for $200. Nothing really wrong with it. At the time, it had like 100 hours on it. And used it for a while the 212 was up on blocks. Worked on that, but this thing has been pretty good. It runs really well. For something that was probably equivalent to a $1,500 mower, I don't know, 15 years ago or whenever, does a really good job. It's got 223 hours on it now. Hydrostatic, which is great. Really good turning radius. Who cares about all that shit, though? I have it because it was my dad's third tractor sitting around, and I needed one, and he said I could have it. But when you mow with it, it looks like you're giving the lawn a mohawk because there was something wrong with the blades. And there's just a strip that goes down every pass, and it's a horrible pain in the ass. And I'm thinking, especially by looking at it, these blades are not the right size, or maybe they started off the right size, and over the years, between breaking and grinding and whatever, they have just been absolutely annihilated. Because if you sit the replacement blades right here, and it'll tuck underneath this piece of steel, but you can see that these should fit. And I don't know if this is bent intentionally. You can see, I don't know if it's bent intentionally or if it's been, bent over the years and I need to torch it back. But these blades should fit, especially here and here. Look at all the caked up schmoo. I mean, that's bad. Whew, if this was Colorado, that'd be money. So we're going to clean all this out. Going to use an impact gun, get the blades off, and then fit up the new ones. It'd be important that way they all fit and they don't hit each other when you turn them on. Now, the other thing is the keen observer will note that this is a Husqvarna, or however the hell you say it, Husqvarna. I really like Husqvarna, whatever. Fuck it. I like their stuff, and this is a Craftsman, but they should be fairly universal. From the research I did, the fastener goes over top of this star pattern, which should be a 5-star pattern under here. And if that's the case, any 48-inch blade with a 5-star pattern should fit. I didn't want anything special. This is just a, what does it say, high lift blade, which is good because if you don't know the way a mower deck works, whether a push mower or a riding tractor is, this sits down over the ground, this surface here, or close enough to it. And not only do the blades chop, but the back end here creates a lifting force, a vacuum that sucks the blade straight and then hacks it off. So when it goes around the one direction, it's creating suction, and the blade end, the edge comes around and chops it off and then farts it out the side. So let me clean up the deck, and what a difference. Now, is it necessary to do that? Yes and no, because you could just slap the new blades in there and that's fine. But think of all the clearance we gained for all that vacuum now to suck the grass blades up properly into the cutting blade. It's going to do a better job. And that's why, within reason, when you go to do maintenance on something, go the extra mile. I'm not in here cleaning out the bearings and replacing them like I probably should be, but at this point, this is just a replace the blade job because it's not cutting properly. Everything else seems to be working. Right now, I just need the blades to suck the grass up and chop it off properly without giving it a mohawk. So why not go the extra mile and clean all the crap out of there? So now that we're cleaned up as much as we actually need to be, we're going to soak it with some Wiener Schleiden, as Ave would say, and then we're going to blast these things off and compare them to the new ones and each other because we're ready to bust a nut. Now, the keen observer will say, I dickered my finger up, and that is due to improper PPE. What I should have been using was leathers. Instead, I was using vinyl glove or nitrile gloves because I couldn't find my leather. So let's give her a shot. Oh, right off. So what's interesting about this is this bolt. Hold on. The threads on this bolt look new. And it makes me think that, come on, focus. It makes me think that this has never been off before. And maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Nothing's rounded off. It doesn't even feel rounded. These could be the original blades. I kind of doubt it, but with only 230 hours on it and 100 of them put on since, my dad's owned it in the last 10 years, it could be the original blades. And maybe that's why they're worn to nubs. All right, so these fit perfectly. I spun them, and there's no clearance issues, whether on the deck itself or with each other, so they aren't going to hit. Now, they fill, as they should, with about a 1/4 inch gap, the entire deck. Unlike these things that are not even all the same length anymore. I mean, these things are destroyed. This was the one in the middle. Look at that. That is actually torn. So it ripped off at some point in its life. This was ripped. The tips were ripped. Man. Circumcised. I want to take a brief intermission to talk about the benefits of having cake pans. Now, these cake pans used to house cakes. Well, they suck because they're not nonstick, and unless you line it with a ton of Pam or some wax paper, well, not wax paper, parchment paper, you're gonna have stickage. So, terrible in the kitchen, really good in the shop to make sure you don't lose fasteners or parts or pins or little pieces of equipment. I highly recommend them. I did not use them, therefore I am missing a pin right down yonder. Focus. Right there. And although the mower will work, it won't work properly, and I could screw the whole thing up. Well, I found it. Turns out it was jammed far up my ass. Now, unfortunately, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, so we really can't see how well we did, but we can throttle up and check out the clearance to make sure nothing blows itself apart. Uh-oh. Second time's the charm. Listen to that. Oh, yeah, she's doing it. Oh, fuck, where am I going? Well, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and here we are. We have success. The mower died out originally because typically with this thing you have to put it at 2/3 throttle, then engage the PTO, then throw it all the way up to full throttle, and then then it's fine. It's done that forever, and I would think that it's got a lot more load on it now that it's actually spinning that amount of steel and that pulling that amount of suction, which is a lot more of a draw on the motor. So it's very successful. If anything, before I would drop the deck the entire way to the ground, and then I would still not get too much of a good cut. And it's dark right now, but you drop it all the way to the ground now, and it all but buries in the dirt. Like it is like golf green short. So gonna have to learn the new ins and outs of the mower. Clearance is fine, runs beautifully, had a good time, learned a little bit, got to do some troubleshooting, got to improve a tool that we need to use all summer long. Thanks for watching. I've always wanted to blow a big black deck.